What it do, YouTube? It's your boy Dan, man. We back in the trap. We cooking up another banger. What this channel is basically we read out of your books and we grow and we learn. So we are reacting to Out This World by Neville Goddard. I'm probably saying his name wrong, but we finna dive deep.
Fourth Dimensionally by Neville Goddard. Read by Adam Hannon. Originally published in 1949.
And make sure y'all got like notes and a pen and y'all got time to be by yourself, just like a study break.
By Goddard Publications. As a general disclaimer, the views and opinions expressed in this book belong to the author and may not always reflect those of Master Key Society or its affiliates. This recording is a production of Master Key Society for the purpose of research, study, and discussion. Chapter 1. Out of This World. And now I have told you before it come to pass, that, when it is come to pass, ye might believe. John, chapter 14, verse 29.
Verses in it.
Many persons, myself included, have observed events before they occurred. That is, before they occurred in this world of 3 dimensions. Since man can observe an event before it occurs in the 3 dimensions of space, life on Earth must proceed according to plan, and this plan must exist elsewhere in another dimension and be slowly moving through our space. If the occurring events were not in this world when they were observed, then, to be perfectly logical, they must have been out of this world. And whatever is there to be seen before it occurs here must be predetermined from the point of view of man awake in a 3-dimensional world. Thus the question arises, are we able to alter our future? My object in writing these pages is to indicate possibilities inherent in man, to show that man can alter his future, but, thus altered, it forms again a deterministic sequence starting from the point of interference, a future that will be consistent with the alteration. The most remarkable feature of man's future is its flexibility. It is determined by his attitudes rather than by his acts. The cornerstone on which all things are based is man's concept of himself. He acts as he does and has the experiences that he does because his concept of himself is what it is, and for no other reason. Had he a different concept of self, he would act differently. A change.
If I had a different version of myself, my future would be different.
Of concept of self automatically alters his future, and a change in any term of his future series of experiences reciprocally alters his concept of self. Man's assumptions, which he regards as insignificant, produce effects that are considerable. Therefore, man should revise his estimate of an assumption and recognize its creative power. All changes take place in consciousness. The future, although prepared in every detail in advance, has several outcomes. At every moment of our lives, we have before us the choice of which of several futures we will choose. There are 2 actual outlooks on the world possessed by everyone, a natural focus and a spiritual focus. The ancient teachers called the one the carnal mind, the other the mind of Christ. We may differentiate them as ordinary waking
The carnal mind. It's the mind of Christ. We're going to write that down. I think everybody should write that down. Take heed that look into that. Let me see where to look at in the book. It's I want to write that down. I'll go back.
And a spiritual focus. The ancient.
Okay, it's a natural focus and it's a spiritual focus. Natural focus. And it's a spiritual focus. Spiritual focus. Call it the carnal mind. The God mind. That's different though, I ain't gonna lie.
Teachers called the one the carnal mind, the other the mind of Christ.
Mind of Christ.
We may differentiate them as ordinary waking consciousness, governed by our senses, and a controlled imagination, governed by desire. We recognize these two distinct centers of thought in the statement, "The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, for they are spiritually discerned." The natural view confines reality to the moment called now.
Your God mind is like the imagination, you driving that Ferrari and shit, right? But your natural brain kick in and it tell you broke, you can't afford it.
To the natural view, the past and future are purely imaginary. The spiritual view, on the other hand, sees the contents of time. It sees events as distinct and separated as objects in space. The past and future are a present whole to the spiritual view. What is mental and subjective to the natural man is concrete and objective to the spiritual man.
Y'all ain't finna write that? What is mental is concrete to the spiritual man.
The past and future are a present whole to the spiritual view. What is mental and
That's hard. My stomach growling. What's mental and all that and subjective to the natural man. That's fire.
objective to the natural man is concrete and
Concrete and objective to spiritual. To the spiritual man. That's fire.
objective to the spiritual man. The habit of seeing only that which our senses permit renders us totally blind to what otherwise we could see.
Facts.
To cultivate the faculty of seeing the invisible, we should often deliberately disentangle our minds from the evidence of the senses and focus our attention on an invisible state, mentally feeling it and sensing it until it has all the distinctness of reality. Earnest, concentrated thought, focused in a particular direction, shuts out other sensations and causes them to disappear. We have but to concentrate on the state desired in order to see it. The habit of withdrawing attention from the region of sensation and concentrating it on the invisible develops our spiritual outlook and enables us to penetrate beyond the world of sense and to see that which is invisible. For the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. Romans chapter.
I don't read the Bible, man. Them words be looking weird. Bruh, and that's another thing. Bible had me fucked up. Not, it had me fucked up. But they made it feel like it was somebody else. Like, that mug describe us, bro. Beyond the world and sense. And to see what is invisible. For the invisible. So basically, if you had like a dream ago, let's say you was fantasizing about having a 100-acre yard, with a house on the back with the pool. Like, that's your dream, that's your fantasy. And you keep that concrete in your head, you're gonna attain it. You let your senses, your 5 senses, your sight, teeth, I can't even talk. Sight, touch, sense. Like right now, it'll kill a dream.
The habit of withdrawing attention from the region of sensation and concentrating it on the invisible develops our spiritual outlook and enables us to penetrate beyond the world of sense and to see that which is invisible. For the invisible things of Him from the creation.
That's so tough. It's the habit of withdrawing attention from the region of sensation and concentrating it on the invisible develops our spiritual outlook and enable us to penetrate beyond the world of sense and to see which is invisible. For the invisible things of Him, which is our mind, Him from the creation of world, or clearly seen. Romans 1:20. This is invisible and complete independent.
Creation of the world are clearly seen. Romans chapter 1, verse 20. This vision is completely independent of the natural faculties. Open it and quicken it. Without it, these instructions are useless, for the things of the Spirit are spiritually discerned. A little practice will convince us that we can, by controlling our imagination, reshape our future in harmony with our desire. Desire is the mainspring of action.
Okay.
We could not move a single finger unless we had a desire to move it.
Facts. You ain't lying. Because if you don't want to do something, you don't love doing it, you ain't finna do it. You ain't gonna be good at it. That's a boy. Despite desire. It's the mainspring of action, bro. Facts, nigga. You don't want to get in them damn Bugattis, nigga. You don't desire that shit. You don't want to touch no money. That ain't your desire, bro. Of action. Do you really want that money? We cannot move a single finger. You cannot move a finger unless we desire to. That's crazy. We could not. Unless we had a desire to move it. This man, they be right in our face, bro. Why we ain't successful, bro? That's what I said, read a book to move it. That's fire.
No matter what we do, we follow the desire which at the moment dominates our minds. When we break a habit, our desire to break it is greater than our desire to continue in the habit. The desires which impel us to action are those that hold our attention. A desire is but an awareness of something we lack or need to make our life more enjoyable.
Facts.
Desires always have some personal gain in view. The greater the anticipated gain, the more intense is the desire. There is no absolutely unselfish desire. Where there is nothing to gain, there is no desire, and consequently no action. The spiritual man speaks to the natural man through the language of desire. The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. Unhesitating obedience to its voice is an immediate assumption of the wish fulfilled. To desire a state is to have it. As Pascal has said, "You would not have sought me had you not already found me." Man, by assuming the feeling of his wish fulfilled and then living and acting on this conviction, alters the future in harmony with his assumption. Assumptions awaken what they affirm. As soon as man assumes the feeling of his wish fulfilled, his four-dimensional self finds ways for the attainment of this end, discovers methods for its realization. I know of no clearer definition of the means by which we realize our desires than to experience in imagination what we would experience in the flesh were we to achieve our goal. This experience of the end wills the means. With its larger outlook, the four-dimensional self then constructs the means necessary to realize the accepted end. The undisciplined mind finds it difficult to assume a state which is denied by the senses. Here is
You can't tell me this book ain't eating, bro. The undisciplined mind finds it difficult to assume a state which is denied by the senses. You can't dream about them Lambos or holding all that money because your mind ain't disciplined. This shit crazy, bro. He ain't lying, bro. You ain't trained your mind to see that you're gonna be successful, bro. Your senses of what's going on right now is stopping you, bro. For real. That's like when a bad chick in the mall and you decide not to talk to her because you think she too fine. Nah, man. Nigga, you the prize, bro. It's in your mind, bro. Difficulty. Difficult. The undisciplined mind is difficult to assume. I gotta write this down. So you can see this shit. I got a book where I just look at it with just words, bro. Cause this shit mean by the senses. By the senses.
a technique that makes it easy to encounter events before they occur, to call things which are not seen as though they were. People have a habit of slighting the importance of simple things, but this simple formula for changing the future was discovered after years of searching and experimenting.
These niggas said they found the formula. They found the formula to change the future.
As though they were. People have a habit of slighting the importance of simple things, but this simple formula for changing the future was discovered after years of searching and experimenting. The first step in changing the future is desire.
Okay.
That is, define your objective. Know
Desire. Know what you want. What y'all want me? Should I tell it to y'all? Or I can't be telling. Just to be financially free. For all my YouTube channels to generate over 6 figures a month. Have more time with my son. Drive what the fuck I want to drive. Not clocking in no hours. giving game and just getting paid large amounts of money just to be myself. For real, get a bag up being myself. For real. Big ass house, straw face tub in it. Nigga, fancy ass cars, not too fancy Bugattis. Nah, I don't need all that, nigga. But nice little Ram truck C8s, nigga. Fan of Ferrari, yeah, nigga.
Know definitely what you want. Secondly, construct an event which you believe you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire.
Encounter the following. The first step. That's the formula to success. We're gonna write this down. I might have to preach this to y'all. Simple. This is the formula for changing the future. They said they've been studied. Changing the future. And that's desire. Know exactly what you want. Something that will have the accent of self, bro.
An event which implies fulfillment of your desire, something that will have the action of self predominant. Thirdly, immobilize the physical body and
Facts.
induce a condition akin to sleep.
Ooh. They telling you how to, you gotta immobilize the body, break the bitch down, immobilize the physical body. Bro, meditating hard, bro. Body. And endure a condition akin to sleep. Lay on a bed or relax.
Lie on a bed or relax in a chair and imagine that you are sleepy. Then, with eyelids closed and your attention focused on the action you intend to experience, in imagination, mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action.
So basically, imagine that you are actually performing the action.
Imagining all the while that you are actually performing the action here and now.
Here and now. Move microphone.
You must always participate in the imaginary action, not merely stand back and look on, but you must feel that you are actually performing the action.
Actually feel. You gotta get into it. Actually mean it shit. Actually feel. Really mean it.
So that the imaginary sensation
or imaginary senses. Sensation is real to you.
Is real to you. It is important always to remember that the proposed action must be one which follows the fulfillment of your desire. And also, you must feel yourself into the action until it has all the vividness and distinctness of reality. For example, suppose you desired promotion in office. Being congratulated would be an event you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire. Having selected this action as the one you will experience in imagination, immobilize the physical body and induce a state akin to sleep, a drowsy state, but one in which you are still able to...
A drowsy state. A drowsy state. So that's when the magician be putting you to sleep. That's crazy. Able to control the direction of thoughts. Direction of thoughts.
To control the direction of your thoughts, a state in which you are attentive without effort.
Without effort.
Now, imagine that a friend is standing before you. Put your imaginary hand into his. First, feel it to be solid and...
Imagine a friend to put his hand. Hey, change the future? Why not? Let's see. Don't know till you try. Shit, don't take me to no another dimension. I can't come back to this bitch. I got a kid though. Shit. Being dead serious, nigga. Don't Peter Pan me, shit. Facts, nigga. I believe in God, but shit, so me some. Imagine a hand. Motherfucker grab my hand, take me to the Netherlands. Stop playing, nigga. We don't want no smoke. Shit. First. I ain't gonna imagine the friend. I'm gonna imagine the crib I'm in. To be solid. Shit. Maybe my son hand, shit.
Real. Then carry on an imaginary conversation with him in harmony with...
And have a conversation. I know y'all like this shit sound crazy. Hey, crazy people rich. Steve Jobs, Elon Musk.
with the action. Do not visualize yourself at a distance in point of space and at a distance in point of time being congratulated on your good fortune. Instead, make elsewhere here
Facts right
and the
now.
future now.
Make the future now.
Future event is a reality now in a dimensionally larger world. And, oddly enough, now, in a dimensionally larger world, is equivalent to here in the ordinary three-dimensional space of everyday life.
It's the same as everyday life. So imagine your imaginary is the fourth dimension. It's your ordinary life. Your imagination, it's like the fourth dimension. ordinary brain. It's third. It's third dimensional of space. It's everyday life.
The difference between feeling yourself in action, here and now, and visualizing yourself in action as though you were on a motion picture screen is the difference between success and failure.
Mm-hmm.
The difference will be appreciated if you will now visualize yourself climbing a ladder. Then, with eyelids closed, imagine that a ladder is right in front of you.
So imagine a ladder climbing it. I guess it's like a little practice. Climbing it. Bro, I remember having one of them dreams you felt like you was falling, bro, and it actually felt like you was fucking falling. Oh my fucking god. That shit felt real. Them dreams do be feeling real. What dimension I be in when them niggas goddamn nightmares. That's why niggas stop dreaming. Imagine ladder climbing. In front of you. Feel you are climbing it. We're gonna try it out before I go to bed. Dinner at 3 o'clock in the morning. Climbing it.
And feel you are actually climbing it. Desire, physical immobility bordering on sleep, and imaginary action in which self feelingly predominates, here and now, are not only important factors in altering the future, but they are essential conditions in consciously projecting the spiritual self. If, when the physical body is immobilized, we become possessed of the idea to do something, and imagine that we are doing it here and now, and keep the imaginary action feelingly going right up until sleep ensues, we are likely to awaken out of the physical body to find ourselves in a dimensionally larger world, with a dimensionally larger focus, and actually doing what we desired and imagined we were doing in the flesh. Whether we awaken there or not, we are actually performing the action in the fourth dimensional world, and we will reenact it in the future here in the third dimensional world. Experience has taught me to restrict the imaginary action, to condense the idea which is to be the object of our meditation into a single act, and to reenact it over and over again until it has the feeling of reality. Otherwise, the attention will wander off along an associational track, and hosts of associated images will be presented to our attention. In a few seconds, they will lead us hundreds of miles away from our objective in point of space, and years away in point of time. If we decide to climb a particular flight of stairs because that is the likely event to follow the realization of our desire, then we must restrict the action to climbing that particular flight of stairs. Should our attention wander off, we must bring it back to its task of climbing that flight of stairs and keep on doing.
You ain't lying, cause my attention nigga goes somewhere else. So bring attention back. Climbing stairs.
doing so until the imaginary action has all the solidity and distinctness of reality. The idea must be maintained in the field of presentation without any sensible effort on our part. We must, with a minimum of effort, permeate the mind with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Drowsiness facilitates change because it favors attention without
drowsiness, faculties, change because it favors attention without effort.
effort, but it must not be pushed to the stage of sleep, in which we
and not push to the stage of sleep. So basically, drowsy, not, you know how you be like, you're not drunk, but you tipsy. Like, you're not tired or sleepy, but it's about that time you're about to crash out.
shall no longer be able to control the movements of our attention, but rather a effort, but it must not be pushed to the stage of sleep, in which we shall no longer be able to control the movements of our attention, but rather a moderate degree of drowsiness, in which we are still able
moderate degree of drowsiness. Ooh. In which we are still able to direct our thoughts.
to direct our thoughts. The most effective way to embody a desire is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled
Whatever you wish, make sure it's fulfilled. Like you feel that shit.
And then, in a relaxed and sleepy state, repeat over
Relax. A sleepy state. Repeat over and over again, like a lullaby.
and over again, like a lullaby, any short phrase which implies fulfillment.
Any short phrase which implies fulfillment of our desires. Such as, thank you,
Fulfillment of our desire, such as, Thank you, as though we addressed a higher power for having done it for us.
You did. Like higher power for having it done it for us.
If, however, we seek a conscious projection into a dimensionally larger world, then we must keep the action going right up until sleep ensues.
Keep the action going. So that's when they say pray before you go to sleep. Right? So it's basically imagine until you go to sleep. So pray. Pray, but imagine before you go to sleep.
Experience in imagination, with all the distinctness of reality, what would be experienced in the flesh were you to achieve your goal. And you shall, in time, meet it in the flesh as you met it in your imagination. Feed the mind with premises, that is, assertions presumed to be true, because assumptions, though unreal to the senses, if persisted in until they have the feeling of reality, will harden into facts. To an assumption, all means which promote its realization are good. It influences the behavior of all by inspiring in all the movements, the actions, and the words which tend towards its fulfillment. To understand how man molds his future in harmony with his assumption, we must know what we mean by a dimensionally larger world, for it is to a dimensionally larger world that we go to alter our future. The observation of
it's a larger world where we go to alter our future.
of an event before it occurs implies that the event is predetermined from the point of view of man in the three-dimensional world. Therefore, to change the conditions here in the 3 dimensions of space, we must first change them in the 4 dimensions of...
That nigga eating, bro. You must penetrate from the point of view of the man. No, not I can't even fucking predetermine from point of view of man in the 3rd dimension. Dimensional world. Conditions gotta be changed in the 4th dimension. Therefore, change the conditions here in the 3rd dimensional of space. We must change in the 4th. Must be changed in the 4th dimension. Of space.
not a line. It is any way in which a thing can be measured that is entirely different from all other dimensions of length, width, and height. A dimension is not a line. It is any way in which a thing can be measured that is entirely a fourth dimension. It should be just as obvious to him as the distance of a dimensionally larger self. Space. Man does not know exactly what is meant by a dimensionally larger world, and would no doubt deny the existence of a dimensionally larger self. He is quite familiar with the three dimensions of length, width, and height, and he feels that if there were a fourth dimension, it should be just as obvious to him as the dimensions of length, width, and height. A dimension is not a line. It is any way in which a thing can be measured that is entirely different from all other ways. That is, to measure a solid fourth dimensionally, we simply measure it in any direction except that of its length, width, and height. Is there another way of measuring an object other than those of its length, width, and height? Time measures my life without employing the three dimensions of length, width, and height. There is no such thing as an instantaneous object. Its appearance and disappearance are measurable. It endures for a definite length of time. We can measure its lifespan without using the dimensions of length, width, and height. Time is definitely a fourth way of measuring an object. The more dimensions an object has, the more substantial and real it becomes. A straight line, which lies entirely in one dimension, acquires shape, mass, and substance by the addition of dimensions. What new quality would time, the fourth dimension, give, which would make it just as vastly superior to solids as solids are to surfaces, and surfaces are to lines? Time is a medium for changes in experience because all changes take time. The new quality is changeability. Observe that if we bisect a solid, its cross-section will be a surface. By bisecting a surface, we obtain a line, and by bisecting a line, we get a point. This means that a point is but a cross-section of a line, which is in turn but a cross-section of a surface, which is in turn but a cross-section of a solid, which is in turn, if carried to its logical conclusion, but a cross-section of a four-dimensional object. We cannot avoid the inference that all three-dimensional objects are but cross-sections of four-dimensional bodies, which means, when I meet you, I meet a cross-section of the four-dimensional you, the four-dimension self that is not seen. To see the four-dimensional self, I must see every cross-section or moment of your life from birth to death, and see them all as coexisting. My focus should take in the entire array of sensory impressions which you have experienced on Earth, plus those you might encounter. I should see them not in the order in which they were experienced by you, but as a present whole. Because change is the characteristic of the fourth dimension, I should see them in a state of flux as a living, animated whole. If we have all this clearly fixed in our minds, what does it mean to us in the three-dimensional world? It means that if we can move along time's length, we can see the future and alter it as we so desire. This world, which we think so solidly real, is a shadow out of which and beyond which we may at any time pass. It is an abstraction from a more fundamental and dimensionally larger world, a more fundamental world abstracted from a still more fundamental and dimensionally larger world, and so on to infinity. The Absolute is unattainable by any means or analysis, no matter how many dimensions we add to the world. Man can prove the existence of a dimensionally larger world simply by focusing his attention on an invisible state and imagining that he sees and feels it. If he remains concentrated in this state, his present environment will pass away, and he will awaken in a dimensionally larger world where the object of his contemplation will be seen as a concrete, objective reality. Intuitively, I feel that, were he to abstract his thoughts from this dimensionally larger world and retreat still farther within his mind, he would again bring about an externalization of time. He would discover that every time he retreats into his inner mind and brings about an externalization of time, space becomes dimensionally larger. And he would therefore conclude that both time and space are serial, and that the drama of life is but the climbing of a multitudinous dimensional time block. Scientists will one day explain why there is a serial universe. But in practice, how we use this serial universe to change the future.
Serial universe is crazy. Scientists will one day explain why there is a bro, it's a goddamn whole nother universe.
Is more important. To change the future, we need only concern ourselves with two worlds in the infinite series. The world we know by reason of our bodily organs, and the world
of our body organs.
we perceive independently of our bodily organs. Chapter 2. Assumptions become fact.
What?
Important.
We're doing chapter 2 tomorrow.
To change the future, we need only concern ourselves with two worlds in the infinite series. The world we know by reason of our bodily organs,
by reason, and the world perceive independently. Body organs. So that's chapter 1. Tell me what y'all got out of chapter 1. We're gonna do like a little summary. What I wrote down. Nah, it's from a whole nother book. Nah, it's a whole nother book. Hold on. Okay, it's right here. So basically, what I got from chapter 1 is basically you got a natural focus and you got a spiritual focus. Like the corneal mind, it's like a whole different mind. That's the mind of Christ. So it's like the good stuff. When it be like, oh, you need to go to the gym, you need to do this till your errands, and the other one be like, nah, you can wait. It's two mindsets. So what mental and subjective to the natural man is concrete, objective to the spiritual man. So whatever is in your mental now in your everyday world, that's what your spiritual mind think too. So that was another thing I took. Then another thing I got that got me was the invisible things of him is from the creation of the world are clearly seen. Romans 1:20. So basically, the invisible things is your imagination. So anything that your imagination see, that's a creation that you made. So The desire is the mainstream of action. Like if you don't desire something, you're not gonna do it. Like it's say you wake up, you don't want to go to that job, you're not gonna go to it. But you desire for that money, you need that paycheck, so you're going to get that money. Or desire, you ain't gonna want to go nowhere if you don't desire to go somewhere. You feel me? So desire is the mainspring of action. Then they said the undisciplined mind is the most difficult to assume the state at which he is defined by the senses. So you can't imagine nothing more than what your mind is. You can't imagine driving Lambos. You can't imagine having $1 million in your living room. You couldn't imagine spending $2,500 on a shirt because you think it's crazy. Your imagination. That's your senses because you can't do it. So the formula to change in the future was really desire, know exactly what you want. Basically, that's it. And your body cut it off. And what I mean by cut it off, basically you meditate. So you want to get in a state where you about to be sleepy, like you drowsy, but you're not sleepy. Because when you sleep, you can't control your mind. So when you about to fall asleep, you feel yourself nodding off that state, the drowsiness. So you can lay in the bed, you can sit on the floor, or you can relax in the chair, somewhere comfortable. So then the second step to changing your future is imagine that you are actually there, performing anything that you're doing in your dreams and your desire. So it's say you desire to be a pro basketball player. Like you doing tryouts in your mind and shit. You actually living it like 2K, my player. Like you really living that lifestyle. So until your imaginary sensations feel that it's real. So if your outside body can feel that it's real, you're doing good. If it doesn't feel like it's real, like it's imaginary, you gotta feel like it's real. So once you hit your drowsy state, be able to control the directions of your thoughts. That's gonna be very hard. That's hard for me. You can have a million things in your head, all types of shit, random things, bad things, all that. You gotta be able to control it. So they gave you like a little study guide. Basically, imagine holding your best friend's hand. I think that's too freakish. I don't want to do that. Don't pull me nowhere like Peter Pan. So imagine something. So imagine you running an errand. Imagine your dog or your son or your mom, somebody you trust. Feel his hand, make sure that it's like real, and have a conversation with him like it's real. Make the future now. Don't be dreaming about 10 years. Make it now. So, your imagination is the fourth dimension. And the brain that right now, what we doing every day, like me talking to you, just a third dimension. So imagine a ladder, climbing it, building the ladder, and you going up. That's one. But your mind probably gonna wander off because we all get distracted. You want to bring your mind back to climbing that ladder. Then once the drowsiness faculties change, it becomes the favored, the attention. Then you fall into deep sleep. So imagine what you do in your dream, then do that until you fall asleep. But you gotta be able to control that drowsiness because when you sleep, you can't control it. So basically relax, get in a sleepy state, repeat over and over like a lullaby, a short phase, like a, how can I say it, like a, what they call, like something positive. Just say it in your head what you want to do. Like, I'm gonna be wealthy, rich. Affirmations, basically. Like a lullaby. Then some say like thank you. Like your goal has already been done, like a higher force than granted your wish. Then keep that in action until you fall asleep. Basically, to change the third world dimension, you got to be able to change your fourth dimensional mind. So that's your imagination. If you don't imagine nothing bigger, it's not gonna happen. So basically, you got two worlds: serial universe. Say scientists will one day explain it. So you got the world of your body organs by reason, and your imaginary one. That was chapter 1, Out This World. So I'm finna tap out and go try to meditate and see what I'm finna do with my future. Then we'll chap in with chapter 2. Let me know if y'all like this. I'm not the best, but we working at it. And this is just like sick of book club. I started one, but I fell off. I'm gonna start back doing them because, bro, if you don't read, you don't learn nothing. They literally just said, we got the formula to change the future. Why not try it? So hit the like button, comment down below. Let me know what y'all comments, y'all notes look like.